Well, if there was ever a Monday, today was it, because this Monday we had nothing too hot on the gap scanners. I mean, APOP was looking pretty good, up 150%. Then, not pulling back more than the 25% limit, had a nice float, but the long-term chart was not looking too good and it was already thickly traded pre-market. And that's why I was looking for a red to green move with APOP, which actually ended up working perfectly. But the follow through today was just very, very weak. And that basically left me with only one green trade, and that was the red to green move. All the other trades, we just didn't have that nice follow through in the morning. Now looking at the charts, it's past 11 o'clock and we're actually getting a little bit of momentum back into the small caps, and some of them that we traded on the exact setups were right, just the wrong timing. So this day wasn't as aggressive as we would have liked. It wasn't as much action, wasn't as much follow through, which is fine. Unfortunately, the last trade on the day was my biggest position size, and that one was also my biggest loser. So I went from a green day to a little bit of a red day because of that. Oh well, it happens. Today, I really want to be focused on recapping APOP because that was our lead gapper, and we had a really, really nice red to green move trade on it. Although I could have traded it a little bit better, so I want to be focusing on how I could have traded it, what are some typical entries for red to green moves, and typical exits, and all that fun stuff. So guys, remember to hit the like button if you enjoy this content. If you're totally new here, we go live every morning at 9:15 a.m. to trade the market open and review the watch list. So I'd love to see you there. If you're not subscribed yet, definitely go ahead and subscribe, hit that bell icon too, and I'll see you guys first thing tomorrow morning. Let's get into the charts now. All right, guys, welcome to the recap video. I'm doing it a little bit earlier today because I got something scheduled in a little bit. So let's dive into it. And right now I'm looking at our lead gapper APOP, which unfortunately didn't really perform as great as we were expecting. And let's quickly go to the pre-market and talk about what was going on here, because pre-market it was quite all right. Gapping up 150%, that's quite nice. Kind of thickly traded pre-market. I don't really like that. But it was holding above VWAP, didn't sell off more than 20%. And honestly, this pre-market trade here, 18% bounce, I should have gone ahead and done. I was kind of looking at this one pretty aggressively pre-market. And that's because, where's this area? Well, let me quickly check this out. This is 4.6, and yeah, okay. Because we ran up to 560 or whatnot. And then our big, first multi-month support and resistance areas right here. We have a high in this area, and we have another high in this area. And we were pulling back to 4.5, and we almost perfectly touched that, and then we bounced up 18%. So I think trading this one pre-market would have been kind of interesting. Also, something to look at shares outstanding, 3 million float, or south 3 million float, 3.3 million shares outstanding. So kind of in the south of 10 million category. You guys got to remember, we're talking about our checklist. Float, less than 50 million, ideally 10 million. News catalyst. What was the news catalyst on APOP? Well, they had, where was it? Bone narrow, something with, let me see if I get this right actually. Bone marrow study, positive results. Let's see here if I can find it. Sees positive data for bone marrow transplant. So that's a good catalyst, and apparently enough to get it up at 150% pre-market. So we have the nice float. And actually, let me go here back to the checklist. We have the nice float. We have the news catalyst, strong spike history. Let's quickly check out that one. Do we have strong spike history? Well, we have spike here, spike here, spike here, but a lot of these spikes have gotten rejected in the past. And that a lot of these, here's our two green spikes, but after these two, it's always been fairly negative. And even after this spike, we had a gap down again. That's really, really bearish. So not really good spike history. It is a former runner, but bad spike history. Good daily chart. Well, we talked about that this 4.5 area was big time support. We knew there was resistance up here. We got kind of near the high of this at one point, near the high of 6, so 5.81. But we've been selling off ever since, kind of consolidating in this area. Who knows? Maybe in the afternoon, APOP will absolutely rip. But so far, it hasn't really performed that nicely. So I would say, let me go back to the long-term chart. We do have room to run, I would say, to 6.3, maybe even to $7. And after that, this could be a nice running stock. But pre-market, it already showed that it wasn't that strong in terms of, holding this area, and that most likely it would be selling off. So let's quickly go back here to the checklist. Fast rate of change, yes. So anytime you see, in just 1, 2, 3 candles, you're over 10% profit. That's really nice. And ideally between $2 and $7. So yes, this basically totally fits our criteria. The spikes aren't that nice. Room to run is a little bit limited. And let me quickly check here. One thing I also want to talk about is, the fact that we're over 180-day moving average. You can see we're nicely above that. I never like when the 180-day moving average is above us and, we're close to touching that, just like right here. I don't like that. To me, that's big time resistance that a lot of people are looking at. So we were above the 180-day moving average. So overall, this is the most obvious right here. Always ask yourself, what is the most obviously gapper? APOP, biggest percentage gainer pre-market, biggest dollar volume pre-market. And it has the nicest flow. So this one's definitely the lead gapper. The only thing on it is the fact that it was kind of heavily traded. So pre-market, this holding above highs, this checks off, 25% max pullback. That's what we talked about here. We only had a pullback of about 20%. Ideally up 40% pre-market. We were up 150% pre-market, and then this is the one you got to watch out for, not over traded pre-market. This one was definitely over traded pre-market, and that's when I went ahead and said, okay, so APOP looks like a great opportunity, but I don't think it's going to be a gap and go. So we had the gap, but what we're typically looking for is the go. And the reason I said this is probably not going to be a gap and go is very obviously because this one was very thickly traded pre-market. There's probably a lot of bag holders from these failed breakouts over here. So most likely there's going to be a lot of profit taking in this stock. And that's what happened. 1, 2, 3 candles to the downside. This was about 11% move. But I knew 4.5, again, was that big support zone. So that's why I decided to get aggressive at 4.73. And this was really kind of my best trade on the day. Unfortunately, we didn't get that follow through. So decent entry on the red to green move. Bought. You typically want to wait for the first candle to make a new high. So that would have been this candle. So buying here at 4.88 and then, waiting for that rip above, which could have been an interesting trade. That could have been, a 6-7% trade without risking, buying into the dip, which sometimes can be very dangerous. So I front run this one a little bit. Probably would have been better if I waited a little bit longer, but at no time did I really risk more than 10 cents on this one per share. So that was pretty okay. I don't really regret that. So that's kind of the two ways you can enter it. Either buy on the pullbacks, which I tend to like to do, especially on the second candle or the third candle, or you could be looking to buy that first candle to make a new high. So, this one it's hard to say because we don't break above the last candle, so that's a no. And then it's really this one. But how fast would have you been able to get that entry? That's what I was a little bit worried about. I don't know if I would have been quick enough. And then my goal was to take some profits as we were breaking 5, coming back to this area. So I sold a little bit too early on the first one. And the only reason I did that is because it was just such a sloppy open. Like there was so much resistance here. I was really expecting this to be like 1, 2, 3 big green candles, like break the high here. We didn't get that. And then I wanted to sell into the 520s. And I was a little bit too slow here. This thing, spiked up and then instantly pulled back. And then on the way down, I was like, I don't want to be in this any longer. And I closed this position. So this was a nice trade, not the biggest winner. And I used a small position size, but I think it was about 4% profit. I would have to check again, or maybe 5%. I don't know. It was somewhere in that kind of decent, okay trade territory. But yeah, the second trade on it, APOP, I was constantly looking at other stocks, trying to figure out what to trade because APOP, I just didn't like the aggressive sell-off. We had big volume here on the sell candle, so I didn't like it. It wasn't until, where was it? Somewhere here above VWAP, we broke higher, big volume came back, and I was like, okay, this is looking good. Here's 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2 pullback. Not bad. I'm going to be a little bit more conservative because it sold off so aggressively here. So I bought the third red candle in the 77s, which actually on the candle was a pretty good entry, but then it ended up pulling back another 9%. This was really, really aggressive sell-off. So that was a little bit annoying. Kind of had to hold through a little bit of, almost past my max stop loss. So about 0.40 cents for a $5 stock. Not point, but 40 cents is kind of like my max stop, and then 10% is my absolute max stop. So I kind of was getting into that territory when we were down at 35 cents. I didn't like that. So I basically I knew this was going to be a loss, and I sold into the first bounce. You also had a lot of freak kind of moves like this that you just can't really account for. He used a lot of failed breakouts. APOP was a tough one to trade. Right now we are kind of making a little trend to the upside here. So this could be a crazy afternoon runner, or it could just totally, sell off and be horrible. I don't know. Either way, I'm done trading this one. I don't like the giant amount of sell volume always on this one. So I'm done trading it for the day. I was done about 10 o'clock today. This was actually my last trade. So my last trade today was at 9:58 or something like that. I should have been a little bit more cautious with the last trade because that was such an aggressive pullback here. So, but at least it was a good red to green recap on how I want to trade these. So typically looking for those that first candle to make a new high or buy into the sell-off if it's quite aggressive, which I tend to do a little bit more often. So that was pretty decent entry. I could have maybe waited a little bit longer and took both profits in above $5, but again, that's a little bit risky. Ideally, I was waiting for a secondary move. What I like to do is close half the position. So half the position, I can really, if I closed half at a $5, then, even if we pull back to my entry, I would still be green on the trade. So that would have been a very kind of relaxed way to trade this one. That's kind of what I was looking for. I was really waiting to take that second half and close it on the break above 5.3. That's what I was waiting for. I would have loved that break, and that would have been a decent profit, but we just didn't get it this time. So next time I could probably trade this red to green move a little bit quicker. Another way to trade the red to green move would have been trading the breakout here, but that's a little bit more of an open range breakout, or sometimes referred to as ORB. So here we have kind of the wall in this area, as you can kind of say, somewhere here. And then if, breaking this area and definitely breaking the 5.5, this would be an open range breakout. Although there is the pre-market at 5.8, so technically it would have to be above this as well. So a lot of resistance with this red to green move, and that's why I was a little bit quicker on taking profits on it. This time it worked out. Unfortunately, the second trade did not work out. What was the next trade that I did? The second trade that I did, ended the day a little bit red, so unnecessary. That last trade, I just took so much risk on. That was a little bit annoying. Can you actually... I don't think you can see the trades divided up here, can you? Selected totals. No, it doesn't look like it. That would have been kind of interesting to kind of see that. Whatever. Okay, so MARK was the second trade we took, and this one popped up on our scanner a little bit late. I was not looking at it pre-market, so let's see here. Let's kind of check it out. This is stressful too, because this one did exactly what I wanted it to. I just had... I had the right idea, I just had the wrong timing. We even called out this move. This was an ABCD entry. It ended up being an ABCD or an ABC pattern, but I bought the second pullback. So here we had a nice little red to green move as well. We had the first pullback, we had the second pullback, and I was waiting for a continuation here. This was at about 9:40. Unfortunately, basically ended up forming a bit more of a bear flag instead of a pullback. And I knew this was shady because it was breaking out so slow. That's why I closed my trade here around 1.2. So this was a nice exit. But then as we were watching this one, I was like, guys, this is holding its highs pretty well. We have the A, we have the B, we have the C, and on the D, we should probably have a nice little breakout here. And when the D broke out right here, this candle, and you could probably see it on the 5-minute as well, right here, 10:25, that's actually that's a little bit later than I expected. That's actually this candle. So this one broke out way later. But you could even argue at 10:10, so in this area, we have a nice little breakout. And a nice little move here higher. Not the biggest move, but still. Then pulls back again, and then it's just, trending up. So MARK, we were right on. It's a little bit annoying that, this one didn't work out in our favor, but yeah, so MARK, what was the news on this one? Let's quickly see here. I almost remember it didn't have a catalyst, and that's why I was a little bit nervous with this one. Yeah, it didn't have a catalyst. So yeah, it also had a little bit of resistance above, quite a bit of resistance. So it didn't have that much room to run. But, right now we broke out of this, big resistance here at 1.37, and we're having a healthy pullback. So maybe this is going to be a continuation. I'm going to be kind of interested to see how MARK plays out. Overall, I don't regret that I got out here, but it would have been nice to wait a little bit longer on MARK and, you know, then have that secondary entry. I don't know where I would have done it. I probably would have done it here, but maybe I would have done it here as well, or maybe I would have done it here. I don't know. It's tough to say what you would have done in the past, but MARK, you know, some super nice moves on it. Just, you know, right idea, wrong timing on MARK. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this little recap video, especially with the focus on the red to green move. I will see you guys first thing again tomorrow morning at 9:15. So till then, oh yeah, actually, remember, if you want the access to the PDF with the checklist, it's right here. First link under the video description below, /connect, and then you can just click on this PDF and then you'll go right to it. Okay guys, that's everything for this video. If you're new, definitely consider subscribing. We go live every morning at 9:15 to review the watch list and trade the market open. Don't forget to leave a like, and I'll see you guys first thing then tomorrow. Till then, stay safe and make some awesome trades. Ciao, ciao.